Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. What a night in Dallas. What a night for Luka Doncic. What a night for the Lakers. So much to talk about. We'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how, where you get your podcasts. This one's always free, never behind paywall, certainly not on a day like today. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 34,000 subscribers, Andy, who are, at the very least, thoroughly impressed with what the Lakers and particularly Luka Doncic did in his return to Dallas. An emotional night, to say the least. A strange, as you said, kind of a strange night, but Luka came out red hot, finishes with 45, 8, and 6 to go along with 4 steals. Not bad for a guy who can't play any defense. So this was a big game for the Lakers on a ton of levels, a huge game for Luka on a ton of levels. Everything about this went, I think, about as well as you'd want as a Laker fan.
It went as well as everything you would want as a Laker fan. I think it went every way you would want if you're Luka, but also too, in a lot of ways, we'll talk about this as Luka's teammates. Like, I think there is potential from this game.
Yep.
And JJ talked about this a little bit afterwards, and he didn't want to oversell it. He said, you never know, but I think there is potential from this game to really bond Luka as the new guy to LeBron, Austin, Rui, Vando, like the guys who've been there longer and who've been a part of this, last couple seasons, hauling ass to try to just get yourself into the play-in, the turmoil with Darvin Ham, and then the chaotic search bringing in JJ Redick, like the Anthony Davis trade that nobody saw coming, bringing in Luka. Like, there's been a lot for these guys that obviously directly involves Luka, but there's some of this that Luka still has not experienced. Some of which is great, like Luka not having the institutional memory of the ghosts of the Denver Nuggets. That is a good thing. But there are pieces of this that Luka has not experienced and that they haven't experienced with Luka. And I think we saw evidence tonight of just these guys really having Luka's back and Luka really appreciating it.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that because there's an element of what the Lakers are trying to do this season as a team that is unusual. Everything about it. I mean, and it is that notion of being a team that is put together essentially late in the season. That is not something that usually works, but the flip side of that is, maybe talk about it in the next segment, is usually the way you're being reworked isn't by adding a top 5 player in the NBA. So Luka showed the full range of the skills. He showed the passing, the step back. What did he have in the first quarter? Was it?
He had 31 in the first half. Let me pull up his first quarter.
I thought it was 14 in the first quarter, but either way, it goes.
It is 14.
Half. He went to the half, like you said, at 31, and it just the night started with that introduction and this video. And I saw what you tweeted out, and I texted you actually something very similar. We both had the same reaction to this incredible video. It was really well done. The ovation from the crowd was, well deserved, but just so unusual in this situation. And we're both kind of watching this video going, man, that's a great video. Why'd you trade him?
The way I phrased it on Twitter was Luka's face while watching this very well done Mavericks tribute video looks like an equal combination of sincere emotion and then why the F did you trade me? And yeah. Luka was crying during this. I mean, you mentioned like his full range of skills as a player being on display in this game, but it was also in a lot of ways the full range of Luka Doncic, the person. Yeah. And Luka is somebody that at least publicly in the setup that you often have with NBA media and media in general, like he's not unfriendly in terms of everything I've ever heard about it, our limited experience, but he's not bubbly with this stuff. He does not enjoy it. He doesn't make a big show of pretending that he enjoys it. And there's a lot that he keeps to himself. This was a night where he could not even attempt to keep those pieces of himself private. He told Lisa Salters and talked about after the game and talked about it with post-game media. His immediate reaction after that tribute video was, I don't think I can play in this game. Like, he was just overwhelmed. And JJ Redick, I think, was not overstating it when he said what Luka ultimately did tonight was superhuman. I mean,
it was pretty impressive. I mean, like, to go from that to torching, like just instantly locking in. But I mean,
it helped that he had the road crowd in his pocket
and the home crowd. I mean, to be honest with you,
well, that's what I mean. The road home crowd,
right? You know, I mean, there were a lot of Lakers fans in the building, but you know, it was a strange thing where like they were genuinely excited when he did stuff well, in part because the trade remains so incredibly unpopular in Dallas. You know, there's a great clip that's going around social where like some woman in a Lakers jersey after Luka hits a step back three turns to somebody, I don't know who it is, but they're wearing a Mavericks shirt or whatever, and you can read her lips. She says, "In your face." It's like the whole thing, and like ultimately what it gets to, and again, stuff for the next segment maybe, is just what they've added and the kind of the killer instinct, so to speak, you know, in sports terminology, to be able to channel what you just saw and bringing up all the emotions of like this trade and the turmoil and like, I didn't see it coming and it wasn't something I asked for and all this stuff, and channel that into, let me light you up for 14 points in the first quarter. Like it's pretty cool.
It was really entertaining. It was very cool, but it also, like, again, just, it cannot be overstated just how effing weird the whole thing was, particularly to start things out. Like at the end, it was weird in the best possible ways because I think Luka ultimately got what he deserved from the evening. But there was a moment early in the first quarter where Jackson Hayes got sent to the line. And as he's shooting free throws, one of many, many, many Fire Nico chants started as Jackson was at the line. And the camera cuts to Luka, and he doesn't look in any way at this point like he's relishing this. He looked sad and uncomfortable. And I think there was, for a lot of this game, for as much as Luka was just cooking for a lot of for really all of the first half, I think the game was weird for his teammates. I think there was a disjointed element to, you know, similar to what we saw. It's contextually different, but similar idea. Kobe's final game. And that game obviously had no stakes other than celebrating Kobe. Like, you wanted them to win, but the Lakers were not going to make the playoffs. That was the last game period. But guys did not know what to do with the ball. You know, every time anybody but Kobe touched the ball, you got booed. And it wasn't that extreme for, you know, the Lakers tonight or that type of crowd. But I think there was an element of everybody wanting to be a part of enabling Luka to just crush these guys. And it took everybody, I think, out of balance for a lot of the first half, and then they really settled in the fourth quarter. It was
the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. They took a 6 or 7 point lead, 8 point lead. I think it was actually got it up into double digits at one point, and then it looked like they were taking control of the game. Dallas comes back, closes a quarter strong, and actually starts the fourth by taking the lead. They actually go up in the Lakers, and the Lakers in the last 7 minutes put on a clinic. And that, from the sort of game stuff of this, how did the Lakers play? What did they do? Like, it all seems a little bit secondary, to be perfectly honest. Maybe we'll get into more of the game details for Friday's show. But the thing that was impressive to me about the game, this portion of the game, and Luka played a big part of this, was the Lakers kicked it into a gear.
Yes.
Over those last 7 minutes. Because Dallas, I mean, I've said this, like, with Kyrie, I'm not the only person, with Dallas with Kyrie, is a very good team and an unusual team where you have that one guard who can do all kinds of stuff and so much length everywhere else on the floor and talented players. Without Kyrie, they're obviously not going anywhere this year, but they're not terrible either. And the Lakers hit a gear in that last 7 minutes that Dallas simply could not match. And that was really impressive. That's something good teams do. And we talked about it, the show Wednesday. In the playoffs, it's like, do you get that 5-minute sequence, that 7-minute sequence where you do something that the other team can't? Let's talk a little bit more about the chemistry stuff, because that is a lot of where JJ spent his time in the post game. And so we'll get to that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit. TurboTax taxes, they're waiting, wondering, worrying if you were going to get any money back. And then waiting, wondering, worrying some more. Now, taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-life updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible, file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Locked On Lakers is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Andy, baseball season, it's in full swing. See what they did there. There's no better way to get in on the action than Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. And if you're right, you win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. You can build your lineup with, say, Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani for like more than one home run or more than one stolen base. That's it. That's all you got to figure out. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked In NBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. I would say Thursday is just a prime hour after a game like this. Perfect opportunity to get a newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers, and you can have this conversation and other things brought to you. Great analysis from around the network in the form of mail. Everybody loves that. So you go to LockedOnDaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers, and you are good to go. And you're really helping us out because we're kind of trying to crush the rest of the network hosts with this. It's a competition, and we want to win. I mentioned in the first segment, you talked about it too, like the galvanizing nature of this. The Lakers are trying to do something that is objectively not done often, where you reform your team and you then try to go make a deep playoff run. Ironically, the Lakers are one of the few teams that have managed to do it over the last few years. A couple seasons ago, they go in the Western Conference Finals after that big Westbrook trade, the removal of Russ from the squad. The flip side of this, Andy, though, is you don't usually add a player like Luka at one of these deadline deals. It's you make a couple things. You're a team that's really struggling or whatever it might be. So you're not really set up for success. The Lakers weren't playing that badly when they made the Luka trade. It's not like they were in this massive slump. And they acquired a ungodly good player. So this togetherness that JJ is trying to do, like how quick can you hit your ceiling? A game like this helps, and they may be further along in that process than the average come together team at mid-season, whatever it is.
It's funny. We'd had a lot of debate on this show leading up to the back-to-back, first in OKC, then in Dallas. I know I've been on 710 ESPN a lot this week on Mason and Ireland, and there have been a lot of debate among the different hosts and fans we heard from about whether the Lakers should have even suited up everybody for the OKC game. For a while, it looked like they were going to sit everyone. Then they ended up playing everybody other than Rui, who is dealing with a legit injury management situation, something very specific with that knee. And then they obviously suited up everyone in Dallas, but there have been a lot of people who thought, you know what, back to back, it's not worth potentially tiring everyone out, especially when you need to try to get 2 wins over the final 4 games. Just put everything in the Dallas basket, get that win. And I think there is something, that feels appropriate if you believe in the basketball gods. The idea that the Lakers did this the right way. They competed, and they not only got one of the 2 wins that at minimum they were shooting for anyway, and would have been the end result of that strategy, but I think they got to send a message to the rest of the league in the way they played against OKC. Like, no, seriously, we are not going to be an easy out. I think they bonded in a lot of ways over Luka's completely egregious ejection and how much that was complete BS. And then I think that added more fuel to making sure Luka had the conquering heroes return in Dallas that everyone wanted. So this to me feels exactly, I mean, other than you would have liked them to go 2-0, but in terms of sort of spiritual results and things that you can take away from this, I feel like this went down about as well as you could have asked for. And it makes me happy that they did it the way they did.
Yeah. And I would have loved, I don't want to get back into it. I would love to see how that game on Tuesday ended. Sure. But you like when that moment when Luka's getting, they call the timeout or it was drew a foul, whatever it was, to get Luka off the floor. And, he exits, you get the ovation from the crowd. They're chanting Luka, Luka, Luka. And the team around him is chanting Luka, Luka, Luka. Chemistry is one of those things that it's important, but it's like, it can be, I want to say overrated, but it can be misinterpreted. Chemistry is not you and I and everybody else. We're all eating dinner together every day. We're all doing that's not necessarily, there are a lot of teams that are terrible that do those things. It's more than that. It is, it's an understanding of the goals that everybody wants. It's an appreciation of everybody's role on the team. It's an appreciation of everybody's status and where they fit on a team and all of this stuff, and a sense of belonging as a group. That moment, like you said, that first segment, Andy, that reflects belonging, like both who the team kind of belongs to, but also that like you belong to our franchise now. We are a group of people who have your back.
The comparison I'm about to make, I want to make clear. I'm not making it as an apples to apples comparison, because obviously the two contexts I'm going to bring out, one is much more serious, much more tragic, everlasting than the other. But just in terms of the way chemistry can be built, but sometimes the catalyst for chemistry is organic in ways that you can't control. And it sort of thrusts different types of chemistry upon you. And in 2020, when Kobe, tragic passing, and beyond the tragedy of it, the complete suddenness, the unexpected, like how much nobody could prepare for something like that. That tragedy brought that team closer. You and I covered that team. We were around it on a daily basis. And, they very much wanted to win and honor Kobe's memory. And, they were outward about this. LeBron very seriously took the idea of, I'm going to shoulder this burden for the fans and for the organization. And this is something that is going to bring us together. Again, awful circumstances. And I'm not comparing this apples to apples to Luka getting sucker punched in a trade, because one is obviously worse than the other. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of really deep emotion that Luka felt with this. And, LeBron said afterwards that I'm reading this, our only motto, our only motive, our only thought process was to make sure we were there for him in any way, shape, or form. And he said it was, quote, super dope, super happy to be a part of that. Like, seeing the emotion on Luka's face, something I'll probably never forget being a part of that. Like this trade, not just getting Luka, but how they got Luka and the backstory of getting Luka, and knowing that I think Luka is happy to be here, but this wasn't what Luka was looking for. And the idea of, we've got this superstar, but we also need to make him comfortable. I think, and we have to show him that he really is one of us. Like, there are ways that can be a catalyzing force for chemistry among these guys as well. And again, sometimes you can't plan for it. Sometimes you can't manufacture it. It just happens.
It is one of the great questions. And, you could tell JJ Redick is like, I don't know. The other thing that I liked about what JJ said, and like, he's not sure where they're going. He obviously thinks they're very good. Most people think they're very good. They have LeBron James, who was tremendous in the second half of this game, and is, I think, found kind of a rhythm of this, like, taking advantage of the fact that he does not need to be the guy that runs everything early, that he does not have to get off to a hot start, like, and feeling out a game, and then finding, these he's had so many good third quarters into fourth quarters over the last couple of weeks. There's it's not a fluke anymore. He's approaching the game in a different way and taking advantage of Luka's presence. I don't know where they're going to end up. They're obviously very good. A lot of teams in the conference are very good. The thing that I loved about what JJ said was like, and it was sort of like a step back, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm going to misquote him, but he's like, I don't know where we're going. I don't know how far we're going to get. I know this was cool. And we get so wrapped up in sports and like, how does this, they're going to win a championship, this, that, whatever. It is okay to recognize certain moments in sports as just awesome. And they are awesome, independent of whether or not you eventually go on to win a title. This was one of them. This was a game that if you love the NBA and you're, a big fan of the Lakers, if you're a fan of Luka Doncic, if you really hate Nico Harrison, any of those things, this was a great night and a great just example of sports, like humans, amazing people doing amazing stuff. And we can appreciate that even if the Lakers don't win a title. Anyway, soapbox over. Lots of practical implications of this win. Huge win for the Lakers. Practically speaking, we'll get to that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, man, Luka came close, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 the next day from noon to midnight. So after an epic 50-point performance, you can celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. And whether you're staying up late watching highlights or maybe just need a midnight snack, you can use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Sign up for Dash Pass. Be ready to save. Again, any player scores 50 or more in a regular season game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more.
So, this, we've talked about, the Lakers need to win 2 of 4 to finish at the 3 seed, all that stuff. And it is true. Now they only have to win 1 of 2. They got Houston on Friday. Houston is not pretty well locked in. They are completely locked in to a 2 for what it's worth. They are not playing their regular lineup tonight. They got different guys. And I can't say I'm 100% sure who is hurt and who isn't, but I know everybody's not hurt. And so they got some guys sitting. They started Green, Landale, Eason, Whitmore, and Shepard in their game against the Clippers, who, by the way, have moved up to the 4, which is kind of interesting and good for them. We'll see what happens in this game. So Friday night, I don't know what the Houston's going to do, maybe how hard they try to win that game. And then Portland, we noted earlier in the week, has officially been eliminated. So they don't have anything to play for either. I suspect they'll run out the same lineup they always run out because they're trying to build. Can't really do anything from the lottery. But so we'll see what happens with that 3 seed. What they did, though, is they did guarantee that the Lakers did guarantee that they will be in the top 6. And while JJ Redick rightly pointed out, we want more, that is, they're not settling for the 6. This was a major goal for this team. And it's been a goal post Luka for a while. And they got it. And the conference was not making it easy for them. And they still got it. Schedule didn't make it easy for them. And they still got it. And I think that is worth noting and worth, if not celebrating, hat tipping or something. I don't know. What's one step lower?
I mean, as somebody who has watched this team have to kill themselves in order just to get into the play-in and the toll that it's taken on this team, like, I can't promise that that's been the big thing that's preventing them from making, a run to the finals, winning a championship. Some of this has just been Denver. And, last season it was very specifically Jamal Murray hitting buzzer beating game winners. But it's just the week off. Like, LeBron made no bones about how much this means to him. He said, quote, anytime I get a week off from not playing ball, I'll take it. Like, these guys know it's really beneficial for them to get that rest. Rui didn't play in OKC because he right now really can't do back-to-backs, as opposed to whether you think LeBron or Luka or DFS, whoever, whatever. Rui's a can't. And the ability for Rui, who said his knee's at 78, 80%, he's not really going to be able to get it right till this offseason when he's not playing. The ability to get multiple days off, depending on where things stand with the 3 seed or whatever, maybe not having to play at all against Portland. And then he gets like 7 to 10 days off, something like that. And, for what it's worth, Rui in this game, the first half, he looked kind of rusty, like a guy who hadn't played. Second half, he was terrific on both sides of the ball. He was very good. LeBron was ultimately the closer and really the guy that I think stepped up the most in that fourth quarter to put things away. But Rui had a very strong second half. You need him healthy. You need all these guys healthy. Not having to deal with the play-in nonsense is huge for this team.
I think, and I'm just going to sort of make up numbers. Like, I think the Lakers, regardless of who finishes in the 6th spot, again, the team that frightens me the most of the next group of teams is the Clippers. I think if they're healthy, that threesome of Harden with Powell and Zubats and
Sue is having such a good season, man.
And they've got Dunn on a wing. Like, I like that. I like the way that team is. Did I say Kawhi? I think I forgot Kawhi.
You did forget Kawhi.
Yeah, I think I probably meant in face. I skipped straight to Zubats. It's really 4 guys.
Look, man, you can argue, not to get sidetracked on the Clippers, because I know it ain't what our audience wants, but you can make an argument that Zubats has been the most important player on the Clippers this year. He has been phenomenal.
He's been incredible. And like Norm has been, I know there was a lot of stuff about that All-Star, but Zubats been incredible. And, it tends to do well against the Lakers. And I think the Warriors are threatening. There is not a team that I wouldn't pick the Lakers as the favorite, especially since they're hosting, if they get that 3. And I honestly think that giving the Lakers that week off for the first round, I'm not saying for the rest of the playoffs, makes them at least 25% more likely to win that series. I realize too, the 6 seed's not going to be playing either. I don't care. The Lakers become 25% more likely to win in my mind because of that.
Well, it would, other than maybe the Clippers, it would be difficult to make you maybe put the Clippers in there, maybe put the Warriors in there just because they're specific players and some
Steph
of
and
the collective age. I don't think you can make an argument, though, that there is any team in the West that will benefit more from the week off than the Lakers. If you want to say some of these other ones benefit the same, fine. There is no team that will benefit more than the Lakers. And it's massive that this is in the bag now. It really is.
Yeah. So we'll say, I saw the standings, and this was before the Clippers game started and all that kind of stuff. I glanced at it. 5 teams tied. 4 through 8 is tied. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tied. I'm like, that is insane to be in this, in that. And for the Lakers to not have to be, they're not out of that group. They're not out of that mess, but they're more out of it than other teams are. And with a game against Portland, that you know that if you win, you get a week off. Like the Houston game, oh my God, if they could win that game on Friday, maybe Houston helps them out. But if they can win that game on Friday, and then you can add more time to it, even better. But to know that you have the Portland game in your back pocket it's fantastic. You talked about like the karma of like sort of just doing it the right way. I do think like there's just something nice about how this worked out. Like there was a threat that what they did in Oklahoma City legitimately could have made it much harder to win this game against Dallas. And I do think that is 100% true. And it looked in the fourth quarter like, oh, maybe they're running into a wall here or something like that. And then again, that gear that they found on the second night of a back-to-back, given all the games that they've played over the last month and a half, that to me said something about this group. Like this is a really good team.
I mean, look, I understand that there is like an actual rhyme and reason and method to the madness when it comes to mapping out a season and, taking stock of everybody's bodies, where they're at physically, and particularly with somebody like LeBron. But, Luka, Rui, Reeves, Gabe, DFS, Vando, like all of these guys have been dealing with real injury issues off and on for this entire season. So like this stuff is real, but at the same time too, like I don't think you can let that completely dictate all of your decisions, because the truth is this group in the Luka era has only played together since February, and they have not gotten nearly the amount of games together as would be ideal. And when Luka arrived, he was still working through an injury. DFS has missed games. LeBron has missed games. Rui's missed games. Like they actually need the reps. And as much as health is a big deal in the playoffs, health can swing a series, like not denying any of that. It's obviously a big deal. It's not necessarily a bigger deal than how well you play. Like how well you play is also a really big deal.
Yeah, and it's a game, and it's that will replicate the playoffs.
Right. I mean, like,
potentially quite literally.
You get more information about how you look against OKC, the team that most people think if the Lakers get to the Western Conference Finals, that's going to be their opponent. Like, there is more to this than just trying to preserve energy. You know what I mean? Like, there's tangible reasons to be on. I don't mean this towards you.
It's got to be about health. I think if it's energy, I agree with you. Play. If it's health,
right?
And I'm sure that, like we talked about it for the show, they clearly did their due diligence. They weren't going to put anybody out in a risky situation. Energy, agree with you. Health, otherwise, but God, the Lakers, they could earn themselves plenty of rest to really beef up that energy with a win on Friday. Locked on
real
Lakers
quick before we go.
Yep.
I learned a couple things during this game. Luka down the stretch had that insane baseline circus shot. According to Google Translate, if you're looking for another way to describe that in Slovenian, that would be Cirkuski pasnetek. That would be circus shot. Cirkuski pasnetek. Also, the Mavericks, and no shade, I thought this was a great touch. They put out all these shirts for the fans who attended that night. And the shirts read, Hvala za vse, which in Slovenian means thank you for everything. Obviously, thank you, Luka. I just want to take this time to say, Hvala za vse, Nico. And Hvala za vse, Dallas Mavericks. Dumont's, all of you.
It's just, I don't know if this is one of those times where people just appreciate, like, you're a visitor in another land, and they appreciate your attempts at using their language. But
I've heard from most of our Slovenian listeners that I'm doing this right. So bleep off, man.
You're doing the research, if nothing else.
Yes, I am.
Locked on Lakers.
I'm going to take the words of them. Well, I mean, I should never take the word of the Mavericks that they did all the necessary research because they are the guys who traded Luka. But still, I'm pretty sure they got the shirt.
We've seen enough T-shirt mishaps of late to know that these things can happen. Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to hang out with over. I'm just going to keep going. 34,000 subscribers. We will get you ready for Friday night's game. And talk a little bit more about this one. We didn't really get into AD. We didn't get into Max Christie, but still plenty to talk about. We're looking forward to the playoffs. Getting clearer every day. We'll see everyone tomorrow.